Oh yeah, baby. All the steam to your hood. Big facts, man. All the steam to your hood, Baruch Yahushua HaMashiach. Oh man, hallelujah. I feel so amazing, man. I feel so wonderful, man. All the steam to the King. Just woke up today, man. Just was meditating on some things and took a shower. Man, I feel amazing. All the steam to Yahuwah, man. Big brew fast. Shout out to Yahushua HaMashiach and all the righteous servants of the King. Y'all included. With that being said, all the steam to the great one. The importance of keeping the commandments of Yahuwah. And it's gonna have a few verses in here as well that show how the commandments tie in with the law. A lot of people like to say that the commandments and the law are separate. It's just not the case. But once again, I do my best to not keep y'all too long, but give y'all great wisdom in a few words. All the thing to Yahuwah though. Big facts. So we're gonna start it off with Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 5. And I pray that you all feel as wonderful as I do and even better. Because I'm looking forward to powering up through the day. All the thing to the King. So let's keep it pushing. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. In a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. Hallelujah. So now, even with this, and I'm definitely not going to switch the subject to the Kobe thing, but a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. Judgment is only from Yahuwah. So with that being said, back to the point. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. Period. You keep the commandments, you will feel no evil thing. This is the one of the importance of keeping the commandments of Yahuwah, because the protection of Yahuwah only comes from obedience to Yahuwah. It's like if the great king says, "Hey, look, it's a train coming. Get off that track," and you stay right there on that track, and then the train flattens you. Whose fault is that? It's not the king. The king said, "Get off that track." The obedience would have saved that person, whoever that person was. Disobedience, you stand right there on that track and get flattened out. All this thing to the great king. Let's go. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 32 through 33. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whosoever hearkeneth unto Yahuwah shall dwell safely and be quiet from the fear of evil. Hallelujah. Let me read that again. This was one of my, man, when I read this for the first time, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. Well, not for the first time, but when it really started sinking into my heart. Man, this is a powerful verse. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them. That goes to Proverbs 28:9. He's all the prayers of the ones who turned away from his law. They're abominable. The turning away of the simple shall slay them. They think they know it all. They're going to stand on that track and get flattened. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. The wicked people who get their prosperity through deceit and devising up wicked schemes and without Yahuwah. That's the prosperity of fools. Any riches gotten outside of the will and the law and the governing of Yahuwah, that's the prosperity of fools. So once again, for the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whosoever hearkeneth unto me, Yahuwah, shall dwell safely and be quiet from the fear of evil. Hearkening to Yahuwah is the only safety. All this thing to the great one. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 2. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah. That means very carefully, very, very carefully. Get in that thing meticulously. See exactly what he means, because when Yahuwah speaks, it's on many levels. There's never just on one level. There's never just one level when Yahuwah speaks. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 2. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah, thy Lord, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahuwah will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. Above all the nations of the earth. Once again, from obedience. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Lord. All these blessings. And then when it goes from verse 2 through 14, it gives you a whole list of blessings for obedience. But then we go to verse 15 in the same chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 28. But it shall come to pass, if thou shalt not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Lord, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, Big brute fat. So this is the condition of our people right now. If you read verses 15 through 68, it's a whole list of curses. And man, if we don't fit all of them, then don't nobody else fit all of them. Because this is a super big fact. If you go read Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68, how it says that we will be cursed in the field, cursed in our womb, cursed in the scalp. So many different curses from not obeying the commandments. But it gave us many blessings for obeying the commandments. It's a person's choice, man. And we have been so led far astray, so farly led astray from Yahuwah's ways that it has become a strange thing to us. And so when we begin to attempt to enlighten some of our brethren, hey, my pastor said this, my pastor said that, and man, all this thing to Yahuwah, that goes back, that even goes to that prophecy in Isaiah 66. Chapter 66, verses 15 through 17, where it says that they purify themselves in the midst of the garden, meaning in the midst of the people, behind one tree, meaning the pastor. They have made themselves righteous by listening and believing to what the pastor says. But then that verse continues on to an end-time prophecy of those eating pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, of being consumed by the flame of Yahuwah when he comes with his chariots. That's an end-time prophecy. And people just overlook that because while they're following their pastors, they have given a respect and an honor to their pastor over the word of Yahuwah. When his word is, man, you don't even need glasses. Even if you can't see, his word is super clear. All this thing to the great one. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 5 through 6. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have any inheritance in the kingdom of Yahusha and of Yahuwah. Let no man deceive you with vain words, because of these things cometh the wrath of Yahuwah upon the children of disobedience. Because of the what? The things people are doing. What Yahuwah the Ruach is saying, that these people are being led astray. Man are deceiving them with vain concepts, vain beliefs. And for this reason alone, the wrath of Yahuwah is coming upon the children of disobedience. That's the New Testament. Ephesians chapter 5, or what they call the New Testament, which is really called Baruch Hadashah, which is just renewed covenant. It's like when you go renew your tag. You don't get a new tag. It's the same exact tag. You just put a new sticker on it. You renew it. But it's the same exact tag. All he did was put Yahusha on it. All it's stick to Yahuwah. Big fast, baby. Let's keep pushing. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 9 through 10. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, which is, feminine men, homosexuality, lesbianism, all that's in there one word, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, it's talking about the fallen angels, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. So all these things are in the law. Once again, so if you cannot do these things, then clearly the law and the commandments are one and the same. This is just as simple as that. And once again, there's a deeper understanding to the commandments. When you look at all 10 of them, with a magnifying glass, you see that all 10 of them hold all of the laws. Every law is in all 10 commandments. So when Yahuwah said, keep my commandments, when Yahusha said, keep my commandments, he was saying, keep my ways, all of my ways. Nothing has changed. Remember, Yahuwah is the same yesterday, today, and forever. All is to the great king. So once again, the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. What is unrighteous? Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 25 tells us that our righteousness is keeping the commandments. So a lot of people get it confused when they say our righteousness is as filthy rags. Yes, when we try to go about making our own righteousness and purifying ourselves. And again, when they were killing animals, that was their own righteousness. Because Yahuwah had done away with that. Like, listen, I don't even want that. He told King David, he made it clear. He didn't even want that, but people were still doing that even today. They're still making up their own righteousness, their own idea and concepts of what it is to be righteous. And that's the filthy rags. Anything outside of Deuteronomy 6:25, the law, statutes, and commandments, that's filthiness of the filthy rags of quote unquote righteousness. Big brute fast. But if you're adhering to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahuwah, how can your righteousness be filthy? I'll sting it to the king. Baruch chapter 4 verse 1. And people discredit these apocryphal books. Well, first of all, apocryphal in Greek. When you look on the definition on Google right now, it's going to tell you whatever it wants to tell you. But when you look up the true definition in the original language of this word, apocrypha, which is in Greek, it says hidden. It was hidden. These things are hidden. Why? Because Yahuwah said, seek me with all your heart and you shall find me. You got if it's the only way you can find something is if it's not in plain sight, is if it's hidden. All this thing to the cream. So Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. Baruch was also mentioned in the book of Jeremiah. I believe it was the 31st or maybe even before that chapter. He is the secretary, the trusted secretary of Jeremiah, Yahuwah, which we all know was a prophet of Yahuwah. Baruch is mentioned in the book of Jeremiah more than once as the secretary of Yahuwah. So of course, the secretary of Yahuwah, Jeremiah. So let's keep going. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of Yahuwah. Watch this. And the law that endureth forever. So the commandments of Yahuwah and the law that endureth forever, they are one and the same. This is what this is saying. Once again, this is the book of the commandments of Yahuwah. All the things to the king. But I love Yahuwah and his commandments. All the things to Yahuwah. This is the book of the commandments of Yahuwah and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. I mean, these are plain words. You don't even have to go to anyone to get any understanding. Of course, you take to Yahuwah everything, anything that I ever say, take that thing to the king. James chapter 1, verse 5. Any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahuwah, who giveth to all men freely and upbraideth not, and he will give it to you. So take it to the king, because once he give it to you, he ain't going to take it back. What you do with it is going to determine what he does with you. People are deceitfully using the word of Yahuwah, and that's a very bad thing. All this thing to the great one. So last time, Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of Yahuwah and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Super big facts. Sirach or Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, another apocryphal book. They that fear Yahuwah are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. Once again, connecting the law and the commandments. They that fear Yahuwah are a sure seed. Fear Yahuwah, respect him, respect his ways, honor what he says, do and don't do. Period. Excuse me. And they that love him are an honorable plant. We plant it and we growing up the right way, the righteous way. Never lacking no good thing. All this thing to Yahuwah, even in the storm, even in the fire. It's like you've been molded as a piece of gold. Now Yahuwah put you in that fire so all the impurities can be burnt off. All this thing to Yahuwah. Excuse me. So one more time. They that fear Yahuwah, Sirach chapter 10, verse 19. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. They that fear Yahuwah are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law, meaning disregarding the law, saying the law is done away with, are an dishonorable seed, excuse me. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. Plain words. Sirach, again, chapter 1, verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and Yahuwah shall give her unto thee. Big brute facts. Sirach, chapter 1, verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and Yahuwah shall give her unto thee. All this thing to Yahuwah. 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of Yahuwah, he has also rejected thee from being king. He was talking to King Saul at this point. But of course, this goes to everybody. When Yahuwah speaks, it's a commanding statement. It goes for all, point blank, period. It's a blanket. It's an umbrella. It's just when Yahuwah says something, all have to fall subject to that. So he's saying that, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So just rebellion, turning against him, is just the same as being a witch. And what does the scripture say about that? We're going to read that very next verse. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. And you know Yahuwah hates idolatry. Period. So what happens with a witch? Exodus chapter 22, verse 18. Thou shalt suffer not a witch to live. Witches get killed. Like, all vengeance is Yahuwah's. Now, we don't take those things out. But Yahuwah's going to murder. I ain't even going to say murder. I take that back. You can even use that word because their own evil is going to come upon them. But any killing Yahuwah does is a righteous killing. So for the sake of that, I'm not going to use the word murder. But Yahuwah for surely will recompense their evil on their head. Super big facts. All esteem to the great one. Matthew chapter 7, verse 22 through 23. Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I, Yahushua, will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. All esteem to Yahuwah. And other verses say, ye workers of lawlessness. What is lawlessness? Not adhering to the law. Had somebody even block me because I was telling them that they had to keep the law. Bless their soul, though, man. I pray Yahuwah touch their heart, man. I'm not gonna condemn none of my people, because at the end of the day, we've been through a whole lot. There are people that have set out to purposely deceive our people, like Young Thug, those type of people like that. You know, boy, they gonna have to see Yahuwah about that. But the people who are following the folly, you know, I really have a lot of compassion for them, because they are following people that some of them believe is really true, but some of them are really just looking for, you know, like scripture say, itchy ears, looking for a pastor to scratch their ears, give them something that sounds good to them so they don't have to do what Yahuwah said do. And as Yahuwah said, the blind lead the blind into the ditch. That's what Yahushua said. All esteem to the great one. Matthew chapter 15, verse 9. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Once again, as Yahuwah just spoke in the Ruach, teaching the doctrines of men. People are following the doctrines of men in vain. They're worshiping him. It's going to do them no good. Master, Master, haven't we cast out demons in your name? What he said, depart from me. Does them no good, because they teaching for doctrines of men and following doctrines of men. That's why we stick to the scripts on this end. We don't even go outside them things. All esteem to Yahuwah. We have fun. I live my life. All esteem to Yahuwah. I take my kids out. We had a great time. We went for pizza the other day. We played some video games. All esteem to the great one. But you better believe they got that word too. They ain't leave from around daddy without that word. That's just, and they know that. You know, they know what that is. All esteem to the big great king. Matthew chapter 5, verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of Shemayim, or kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Notice he said do and teach. You can't just teach and not do. You can't just teach and not do. Everybody's not called to teach. Like scriptures even say, many should not become pastors. So I'm not going to say it's an obligation, but it definitely is our duty to speak the righteousness of Yahuwah. Bottom line. But you cannot teach and not do them and expect to receive a reward. It's not going to happen. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men to do so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. See, some people be like, oh, well, at least I'll be called the least of the kingdom of heaven. But what's the least of anything? Zero. So this is saying that whosoever shall teach man to break these commandments, they will be zero, nothing in the kingdom. They will not exist in the kingdom. This is what this is saying. So once again, get the deeper understanding from the great king. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Shemayim, or heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. This is one of the most telling verses about the law being intact. And people still find a way to say it's not intact. Once again, itchy ears looking for a pastor to scratch it with the folly. This clearly says not one jot or one tittle, no period, no exclamation, no letter, no word will in any wise, no way, no how pass from the law till all be fulfilled. What is all being fulfilled? The end of time. Yahushua returning. Has he returned? No. How can anyone say that the law is done? Man, all esteem to the great king. Matthew 5, verse 18. For verily I say unto you, for surely, for truth, I say unto you, to heaven and earth pass, both, not one jot or tittle shall in any wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. I was staying to you, man. Revelations chapter 14, verse 12. Excuse me. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. Here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua, the faith in his word, the faith in his begotten son, the faith in him coming down with the faith in his holy righteousness. All extend to the great one. And with that being said, we have 2 more verses. Once again, like I said, I just try not to rush through it, but try to keep your attention span to where you would watch the video, get the understanding, not be like, dang, it's 2 hours long. Which a lot of great messages take that long. But Yahuwah has been having me to just send these power ups in short bursts. All esteem to the great one. I guess because he knows that the attention span of this generation, man, not no disrespect, but people. Even me, sometimes I get lost in an hour, 2 hour video. I have to pause it in 30 minutes, like, and just go read a book and then come back to it. But with this 25, 30-minute videos, should be able to get right through. Yahuwah will. All esteem to the great one. Revelations 22, verse 14. Oh, excuse me. Back to 14:12. Revelation verse 14:12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua. Only the saints. Only ones who keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahushua are considered saints to Yahuwah. Anything outside of that, it's the opposite of a saint. And we know what that is. Revelation chapter 22. All this thing to you. Big facts. Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter into the gates, into the city. All esteem to Yahuwah. Blessed are they that do his commandments. So when people tell me I'm blessed, I got a big house, I got this. Yes, those can be forms of blessings, absolutely. But those also can be forms of curses. Once again, like the psalm says, when the wicked sprout up and flourish, people do not consider that it's so that they be destroyed forever. So those blessings that look like blessings, big houses, big cars, that's so that they may be destroyed forever. Remember when he told Pharaoh, for this reason have I risen you up to show my power on you. So all that kingdom that Pharaoh reigned over, that was certainly not a blessing. That was a curse. Big brute fact. Big brute facts. Hallelujah. Blessed are they that do his commandments. Through his commandments, you blessed. All esteem to the great one, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Revelation 21:8. Last verse we're going to leave it with. All esteem to Yahuwah for everything, man. Thank you, great King. All esteem to Yahuwah. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers, which this can even be once again taken as disobedient. The disobedient ones. Why? Because this rebellion is the same as witchcraft. Sorcery is witchcraft. So this one word, sorcery, can mean all of that, which of course it does. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. This is the second death. All esteem to Yahuwah. People deny hell even existing. Well, then once again, that's why a lot of people deny the New Testament and a lot of words of the Most High. All esteem to Yahuwah. No, back up. Let me get up there. People trying to call. Nope. All esteem to the great one. Hallelujah. But on that note, with that being said, Revelations 21:8, one more time. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers, disobedient, and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So, if you didn't think hell existed, then maybe you might want to read Revelation 21:8. And all this thing to you who will do your best to, well, I can't even say do your best. Don't be part of that fold. And the only way to don't be part of that fold is to pray. Like Luke 21:36, I believe it says, pray that you are counted worthy to escape these things. That's what you got to do. We don't do these things. The righteous ones of Yahuwah don't do these things on our own. We don't take credit. We know that our righteousness is of Yahuwah. We know that we have to stay in continual continual prayer to the great one, to stay in this mode, to stay in the mode of belief, even through the storm, even through the struggle. We got to stay in belief of the great King. I got my storms, I got my battles, but I take it to Yahuwah. A couple of my brethren know what the business is, but I don't put my business out there for the simple fact that I ain't gonna leave no room for anybody to think anything foul about my great king. Because I know what me and him got going on, and he building me up the way he want me built. So get what? I'm gonna stay there and get constructed on. All esteem to the mighty one. And on that note, man, once again, the law, statutes, and commandments are in full effect. The only way to receive the blessings of Yahuwah, the protection of Yahuwah, eternal life, is to keep the commandments. Revelation 14:12. Keep the commandments of Yahuwah and believe in Yahushua HaMashiach. So, on that note, all esteem to the mighty one. May he Baruch this message, and may all that is fit to reach, may they receive it. And even the ones who may not be fit, may they be plowed with this video and begin to think and begin to see that maybe we do got to keep these things. Maybe we do have to obey. It's more than just belief. We have an action behind that belief. Once again, if you believe him when he said the train is coming, you're going to show an action by getting off that track. You're not going to say, hey, I believe you, and stand right there if you believe what he's telling you. And he says the only way to get into the kingdom is to believe me, keep my law, statutes, and commandments, and believe in my son. All esteem to the great one, man. Hallelujah. I pray that this message is a blessing to all in Yahushua HaMashiach name. And I pray that y'all have a wonderful day in Yahuwah. Blessings and miracles and all types of good things to y'all, man. All esteem to Yahuwah. Love y'all. Hallelujah. Shalom.